Can the tree of life construct an accurate map of history? That's the question for today. And I'm Thomas. Welcome to my channel. I do all kinds of educational videos, create and distribute educational products, books, audiobooks, articles, courses, etc. And if you like what you see, you remember to like, share, and subscribe. I specialize in Tree of Life, which is this thing here. You'll be seeing this from me a lot. Hopefully I'll come up with a more legible model at some point in the near future. But this is the Tree of Life. You may know it as the Kabbalah, the Hebrew Kabbalah. The Egyptian term is Tree of Life. And I have also expanded this model to another dimension that I call the MASSTree. While the tree has, as you see, 12 different categories, different spheres, they're numbered from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and so on. This is a thing called the abyss, and then 3, 2, 1, and 0. So 0 through 10 plus the abyss is 12 categories. And they are really describing our faculties of consciousness, among other things. The MASSTree breaks it down to another level, so 12 by 12, or 144 different fractal faculties, or stages of history, life, spirituality, and cosmology. And you can click the link below if you would like me to send you a free copy of my guide to the annotated guide to the 144 different fractal faculties or stages of life, etc. So it's just kind of like a short description of those things. Will serve as a little bit of a teaser and as a backdrop for the videos that I'm eventually going to be doing on each one of these 144. You can also watch my other video that's called Tree of Life, an introduction, just to get like a 10-minute overview on the tree. If you find that you're a little bit confused or interested after watching this video, hopefully this video can like stand on its own. Anyway, I'm rolling out a series of short videos on the tree to demonstrate its broad flexibility and just incredible insights that it provides once you actually know how to use it. I've started learning the tree about 25 years ago, and it's been indispensable for me in just kind of figuring out my life. It's not really content. It's more of a structure that you can put content. So it's an organizational structure or an elaborate mnemonic device that helps you to figure out where everything goes and how it all fits together. Okay, so back to the question. We got, can the Tree of Life construct an accurate map of history? And as I was saying, I have a model of 144 fractals of the stages of history. So the Tree of Life itself is a map of history. I am a history teacher, and I've used it myself to teach history classes, and it works. You know, the students, it takes them a couple weeks to kind of get adjusted to it, but you can get them to kind of analyze, and yourself, you can analyze history based on the structure of the tree. Once you kind of learn how to use it, it enables you to dissect history and time in general. Again, somewhat miraculously. The first day I teach, I just put it up on the transparency and say, this is the model that we're going to be using for, for learning history in this class. and it's just like any other model, but it's more penetrating. You really use it to break stuff down. Um, then taking this map of history, the next level of granular goes into granular detail with the 144 stages of history. Now, those stages, normally when you talk about history, you're talking about chronological stages, the or even going all the way back in cosmology. You have the uh, Paleolithic stage, or Mesolithic, or you go all the way back to millions of years, and there are different stages. But this is stages in terms of drama. So these are dramatic stages, uh, like actors would consider a stage. Um, so there's a 144 separate little dramas that we have to negotiate in our lives in history. So, it's not chronological, but it's dramatic. So we can describe any episode in history with the tree. It just takes practice, helps to understand the map first, memorize the configuration, memorize the diagram, and how each one of the different spheres, which look like circles, um, how they fit together and how they relate to each other. You can see here on the tree that some of the spheres are connected with other ones, and they're connected by these lines, and so they have some kind of relationship with one another. You see specifically this sixth sphere here, which is really connected with every one of the other spheres, indirectly here with the 10th sphere, and I suppose maybe indirectly with the first sphere if you count the abyss, which is really, the abyss is really a dotted line. The boundaries there are dotted, whereas all the rest of the spheres have unbroken lines, are circles. Okay, so we just have to look at specific events in history and try to map them out on the tree. In all historical events, the different actors can be acting from different spheres on the tree. Yeah, and that's kind of how the tree works. You move from, you're not set in stone at one sphere. You develop the different faculties of the tree, and you can develop those spheres. But in general, you stay, in a certain neighborhood in the tree. You don't reside at the 10th sphere and then all of a sudden go up to the 3rd sphere for a little while and then go over to the 7th sphere. You only really go to the spheres that you have activated, and you generally have kind of a center of gravity where you normally reside, and you kind of move up the tree. The 10th sphere is about your animal consciousness, your instinct, your survival, your body. And then as you move to the 9th sphere, it becomes more like a domestic consciousness. So you're developing your imitation ability, your receptivity. You're receiving and imitating things from your parents or whoever is raising you up. So it kind of works in that way. The vast majority of humans are here at 10, 9, 8, and then gradually, as we evolve, we move up into 7, 6, 5, and 4. And then really 3, 2, and 1 are more like divine faculties that are only rarely developed in humans, or maybe rare episodes in a human's life. Okay, so we can take an example here, stage number 30, which I call "Whose Bad Night Was It?" And that refers to a quote made by a jazz musician. I've written a book on a number of pretty obscure jazz musicians, and he was making that comment to a music critic who said that so-and-so did not have his best night last night. And the musician turned around and said, "Whose bad night was it?" You know, kind of referring to, is it the critic that didn't have a bad night, or that didn't have a good night, or was it me? So that whole stage there, stage number 30, is about a group of musicians whose creative expression was controlled by a group of music critics who criticized the musicians anytime they went outside the boundary lines that the critics had drawn in the first place, about what is good and what is bad and what is acceptable and what was not. But then the musicians learned to bypass all of that with do-it-yourself ethic or ethos by creating their own distribution networks, their own venues, and their own standards of performance, so that they were not dependent upon the critics' approval. Originally, the musicians here were acting from the seventh sphere, which corresponds to creativity and individuation. Whereas the critics were trying to move them back into the sphere, which is where the institutions and just the general establishment lies. The musicians, in order to defend themselves, had to move up further to the sixth sphere, exercise of free will, and the fifth sphere, nonviolent resistance, and even the fourth sphere, persuasive presentation to opposition. So they had to kind of try to convert some of the critics to their way of thinking in order to escape the influence of the critics at the eighth sphere. So you can see this all playing out here. 8 and 7 are on the same line. So the critics are over here at 8. The musicians are over here at 7. The critics are trying to pull the musicians back over to 8, you know, because 8 is where the control, the institution, and the establishment lies, and they really have control over 9 and 10 also. So this is kind of like the area that you want to try to get out of if you want to be an individual and you want to have some creative expression. You move over to 7, but the critics are trying to draw them back into 8 by saying, oh, you know, you didn't have a good night that night because you didn't stay within the boundaries that we drew for you. And the musicians are like, forget that. You know, we're trying to develop our creativity. In order to do that, they really had to start taking this path up to 6, which is free will, your ability to make decisions, and then even go further out into, this is really like, this whole triangle here is about fear, dealing with your fears. At the 6th sphere, you're just facing your fears. At the 5th sphere, you've become accustomed to your fears, and you're able to act in their face and also have a level of competence acting in their face and be okay with it. You know, and have it on a consistent basis. Fear is always stalking you. And then at the 4th sphere, you're finally getting success with that, acting in the face of fear and being able to overcome your opposition, which is really coming from here. So this is kind of the path that these musicians took, and they were able to succeed in basically dethroning the critics and debunking the critics from their milieu. So, you know, so basically this is just an explanation of how the tree of life can break down a historical event and kind of, you know, show you the different motivations that are involved and the different characters that are involved and what's at stake, and how you know, how you can strategize if you're in a similar situation, what you might be able to do to have some success. So Basically, that's a way to answer the question, can the tree of life map out our history? Please click the link below if you'd like a free copy, again, of our guide to the 144 fractal faculties or phases or stages of life, spirituality, history, and cosmology. Click the link below if you'd like to share, subscribe, or just like the video. And in addition, as far as this video is concerned, send me comments about other historical events that you know of that you would like me to analyze according to the tree, or if you have your own analysis of these, send those to me, and I'll consider all those things and maybe make a video about your request. All right, enjoy the day, and stay tuned for more videos from me about the Tree of Life. Thank you.